On March 25, 2014, the Employment Flexible Work Arrangements Miscellaneous Provisions Act was tabled in Parliament. It sets out to amend provisions relating to hours and days of work in several pieces of legislation to facilitate the implementation of flexible working arrangements in Jamaica. The end goal? To position the country's labor market to take advantage of investments and other economic opportunities. Flexi work is an alternate arrangement or schedule from the traditional Monday to Friday 9 to 5 working day or week. In principle, it allows individual employees and employers more room to choose when they start and end the workday or even which day of the week to work.
So it could be that a person could be starting at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, or it could be that the hours you work could be 8, it could be 10, it could be 12. Days of the week would no longer have to be just Monday to Friday. You could choose.
But does this mean that everyone will be on a flexi work system once the law is changed?
Flexible work arrangement is not for everybody, and we must emphasize that. So it's not going to be that every company will implement flexible work arrangements. Every company has to assess whether this will work in my particular organization, having regard to what I actually do as a business.
Since flexi work will not suit every organization, you might ask, what if I want to work flexible days and hours and the company I work for is not implementing it?
Well, flexible work arrangements, it's all about negotiation. The employer cannot force the worker to implement flexi work and to work flexi hours. The worker cannot force the employer to implement flexi work. It has to be discussion and agreement between the parties.
And what of those who would seek to implement it without negotiation?
If you choose to vary that contract, the worker can institute proceedings for breach of contract. And the same goes for the employer too if the worker tries to vary it without the agreement. Because right now, persons are under existing contracts of employment, which sets out their terms and their days of rest.
When the bill is passed, the Ministry of Labour will be monitoring all complaints, so persons who find themselves in this situation should report the matter to the Ministry's Pay and Conditions of Employment branch, and there is an office in each parish. Over 20 pieces of legislation are to be amended to facilitate the implementation of flexible work arrangements. The amendments will specify that the work week should consist of 40 hours and that overtime is to be computed after the employee has completed 40 hours of work. That means for those opting for Flexi Week, overtime will not begin after an 8-hour workday, but only when you have worked beyond your 40-hour work week. The bill will also increase the number of hours in a workday from 8 or 10 hours to a maximum of 12 hours, reflect that all 7 days of the week should be considered as possible working days, and make it lawful for women to work at night.
Well, the organization would now not be restricted in opening hours. They'd have more freedom to choose the opening hours that would best suit their needs, so they can increase their productivity and also their profits. The individual will be able to more balance work life with family life, could choose the work arrangements which would best actually mesh with their family obligations, like picking up children. And also they could earn more because it would allow you to choose to work for different people to actually get more money. For the nation, of course, if the businesses are actually producing more, individuals are actually earning more, employment has increased, and it will swell well for the nation.
Persons can choose from a range of flexi work options. One option allows for working part-time hours and is still earning benefits such as vacation and sick leave. Flexible time allows individuals and businesses to vary the start and end time of each workday. Persons can also telecommute, essentially working from a location other than the office, such as your home. And then there is the compressed work week. This is where you work your 40 hours over a 3 to 4 day period. But be careful not to fall below the threshold of 110 days worked to qualify for vacation leave entitlement.
A person who works for 3 days would have only worked for 156 days in the year. So they would still get vacation leave because they've passed the threshold of 110, but under the holidays with pay order. To obtain vacation leave of 2 weeks, you have to work under the statute for 220 days. So that gets you closer to somebody who works for 4 days for the week, for example.
And since all 7 days will be regarded as work days, what will pertain to working on public holidays?
The Flexi Work Arrangements Bill will not change any provisions we public general holidays and the payment of overtime to those workers. Persons under minimum wage will still be entitled to double time for working on holidays, and persons who work in shops Other persons who are not minimum wage earners, who don't work in shops, your contract will still govern how you are paid overtime, because that was always the case.
We are not about taking away people's rights. We are about trying to ensure that we organize work in such a way that Jamaica can be competitive.
And what we need to do is to ensure that we don't delay any further, so we can take full advantage of the opportunities being offered to us for growth, development, and prosperity.
So there is nothing to prevent any company today from looking at their operations, looking at their markets, and making a determination as to what is the best production fit for their business.
In the meantime, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security continues to invite national input with public forums and education campaigns.